For the latest on the election in Malaysia, let's talk to our correspondent Tony Cheng in Kuala Lumpur. Tony, what can you tell us about the results so far? How much of a majority is the National Front likely to achieve?
Well, at the moment, they've got 124 seats to the opposition's 71. So it looks unlikely they're going to get the two-thirds majority I think they would have liked. I think that was always going to be unlikely with such a tight race. Nonetheless, it is quite a margin of error. The opposition have done well. They've got about 15 extra seats, but they've lost a few as well. So a bit of a mixed bag. I think given the optimism that they felt was with them and the momentum they thought that they gathered, overall I think they will be very disappointed. Nonetheless, it was always going to be a very hard task. Indeed, we saw Prime Minister Najib a couple of hours ago coming out down when he made that statement that they had taken the win. And he himself was not looking happy at all. He said that it was an election result that showed significant changes that were slightly disturbing for Malaysia. He said he recognized that the country needed to heal some wounds. He actually blamed the result on a Chinese tsunami. Those are the words he used, because so much of the Chinese vote went to the opposition on this occasion. But he has been talking about the need for a national reconciliation process. He says the government will go away, absorb what's happened this evening, and return with some kind of a plan.
Well, the turnout of this election is record high of 80%, with many young voters and minority voters. Can you tell us the significance about it?
Well, I think a lot of people were very invigorated by the last election result in 2008, when the opposition did much better than expected. And I think for many Malaysians who have seen that Barisan Nasional coalition so successful for so long, and UMNO, the Malay party, really in control for the last 56 years, I think there was a dent in the armor, and they felt there was a chance for a viable opposition here in Malaysia. Over the last term, the last 4 years, the opposition has actually performed very well in the states that it's controlled. And that was reflected in the vote this evening, where the opposition kept control of most of those states, much to the irritation of the Prime Minister this evening. He was clearly quite unhappy about that in his statement to the media. Nonetheless, I don't think it was enough, and I think clearly Barisan Nasional went to the Malay heartland, they went to the countryside, they went to East Malaysia, and they asked for those hardcore supporters to turn back. And one interesting thing is that PAS, the Islamic Party, didn't perform nearly as well as it had done in the last election. And I think that illustrates that when called upon, the Malay voters went back to Barisan Nasional. But despite the impetus of the young voters, and despite the move from the ethnic Chinese as well to the opposition, it was the Malay voters, and particularly the Malay voters in the countryside, who really brought us home to the government.
Thank you very much. That was our correspondent Tony Cheng in Kuala Lumpur. And according to him, the National Front Coalition has already captured 124 parliamentary seats.